What matters most in judging people? Is it money, wealth, or one's status? Or is there something more enduring value to look for in a person? Well, to get the answer, let us comprehend an eye-opener story from First Flight book of Standard 10 CBSE. The title of this motivational story is The 100 Dresses, composed by a renowned American author, BSOR ESTER. Hello dear students, this is Sushma Singh and you are watching Booster Classes. Watch the video till the end and get benefited. In this module, I'm going to give you the core of this short story in an extremely coherent and lucid manner so that you can apprehend with ease the setting of the story, its plot, climax, theme, character traits, as well as there will be comprehension check at the end. First and foremost, let me give you the overview of this emotional story. We have already discussed that the lesson, The 100 Dresses Part 1, reminds us that childhood bullying is not a new phenomenon and that those who seem different can become easy targets in classrooms. And Part 2 of this chapter revolves around the events that unfold after Wanda's winning the drawing contest. Peggy and Maddie feel guilty for having unkind and mean towards Wanda. Wanda, despite being targeted by bullies, approaches them with great love and forgiveness. This shows how great Wanda is because it requires a lot of courage and patience to forgive anyone. Rather than telling the story from Wanda's point of view, the author focuses on Maddie. Consequently, the readers see the effect of bullying on those who are involved in it. Let's now move on to the storyline. The story starts with Miss Masson reading out Wanda's father's letter. Miss Masson made the classroom fully attentive before reading out the letter from Wanda's father, Jan Petronsky. Wanda's father wrote in the letter that Wanda and Jake would not come to school anymore. They were moving away to a big city in the hopes of being free from being socially ostracized due to their uncommon names and different nationality, so that his children would not suffer from funny pranks played by their classmates. Well, now the atmosphere of room 13 had changed after Wanda's father's letter was read out. There was a deep silence, and the entire class got shocked as well as tensed. Even the teacher was very sad and troubled to know the incident. Though she considered it a result of thoughtlessness, she wanted her students to reflect on it because it was really unfortunate and sad that such a thing had happened in her class. The students felt sorry for Wanda and realized their derogatory remarks and attitude towards Wanda. Maddie was the most affected one. Maddie felt so bad that she could not put her mind to work even in the first period. She felt guilty for remaining silent and allowing Wanda to be subject to unjust humiliation. And I never opposed Peggy when she was teasing Wanda. Being guilt-ridden, Maddie wanted to meet Wanda in person to clarify her stand that she never meant to hurt her feelings. It was true that she never liked Peggy putting embarrassing questions to Wanda about 100 dresses, but she used to stand by Peggy. She felt that she had been a coward, as Peggy did not understand that they were being mean. But she, despite understanding it, had remained silent. She had allowed Wanda to be subject to unjust humiliation and had never protested. Now she decided to act irrespective of whether her friend would accompany her or not. So When the school was over, in the afternoon, Peggy told Maddie casually to go to Wanda's house. Peggy told Maddie that she never called her a foreigner or make fun of her name. She never thought that Wanda could sense being made fun of. She thought that Wanda was too dumb in this case. At last, Peggy and Maddie went all the way to Wanda's house in Boggins Height. The house looked shabby but clean. It reminded Maddie of Wanda's soul-faded blue dress, which was also shabby but clean. They were eager to meet Wanda because they wanted to say sorry to her. They also wanted to request her not to go away. However, there was no sign of life there. Even Peggy knocked on the door, but there was no response. The Petronsky had gone. So their visit was fruitless and they were unable to make amends for their unkind behavior. So they slowly returned home as they had no option left. Here we shall talk about what important decision did Maddie make. Now, despite visiting Wanda's house, they were unable to meet Wanda and make amends for their unkind behavior. Peggy defended her action, telling that her teasing might have proved to be beneficial for Wanda because her questions probably gave Wanda good ideas for her drawings, thus enabling her to win the drawing contest. Peggy gave all credit to herself. Now, this shows that Peggy was undoubtedly an arrogant and self centered girl. However, Maddie thought hard about how to make amends for her meanness to Wanda, and that night she could not sleep. After a long contemplation, she reached to an important conclusion. She resolved not to be a silent spectator to any form of injustice. She decided to speak up if she ever came across anyone being subject to humiliation and ridicule owing to their looks or names, even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship, her best friend. Now, on the following Saturday, Maddie and Peggy wanted to write a letter to Wanda apologizing for being mean to her. They were so remorseful that in an attempt to reconcile with Wanda, they wrote a letter. However, they ended up writing a friendly letter to Wanda telling her that she won the drawing contest. The letter bore no trace of being apologetic. They praised her for being a marvelous artist. They asked her about her new school and teacher as well. They even mailed this letter to Boggins Height. Unfortunately, there came no reply from Wanda to that letter, and it seemed as though Wanda was so hurt that she was never going to reply them. Peggy almost forgot all this in due course of time, but it was Maddie who still kept on repeating her resolutions to protect the underprivileged from humiliation at nights. Now, on the last day of school, before the Christmas holidays, Miss Masson showed the class a letter from Wanda. Now this time this letter was addressed to Miss Masson. Miss Masson read out the letter to the class. Wanda requested Miss Masson to give her drawings of 100 dresses to the girls in room 13. In her new house, she had 100 new dresses. She wanted Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimming, and Maddie could have the blue one. She wished in that letter, she even wished Merry Christmas to all of them, all her classmates. Now, this shows that Wanda liked all of them, though they always teased her. On way home, Maddie and Peggy carried their drawings very carefully. All the houses had been decorated beautifully with wreaths for Christmas. The air smelled like Christmas, and lights shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. Both of them accepted the drawings and pinned them in their bedrooms. Peggy took it as a proof of Wanda's liking them. She took this generous gesture as Wanda's way of forgiving them. However, Maddie thought differently. She felt sad that she wouldn't see Wanda again. The brilliance of colors in Wanda's painting seemed to bring Maddie's savvy room alive. She studied the drawing very carefully, and at closer look she noticed the face and head of the drawing. It looked like her own head and mouth. Wanda had drawn it for her. She was deeply touched and excited that she ran to Peggy to tell her about this. Maddie told Peggy that Wanda had drawn both of them in her drawings. This made Peggy feel Wanda had probably admired them even though they were unkind to her. Maddie too agreed here because she tearfully remembered Wanda, the little Polish girl, and recalled the images of Wanda's social isolation in the schoolyard, but she had considered them her friends and had so willingly forgiven despite their meanness and inconsiderate behavior towards her. Now, as regards the theme of this chapter, remorse is the most prominent theme because it drives the plot of The Hundred Dresses Part 2. The extreme guilt Maddie experiences for not having protected Wanda from taunts drives Maddie to reconcile with Wanda. Remorse keeps Maddie up at night and leads her to vow never to stand by while another person is humiliated. By the end, also, Maddie has not lost her remorse. The revelation that Wanda admire her and Peggy will likely compound her guilt. Through the character of Wanda, the story explores that how forgiveness is a noble virtue. To help you better understand the story, let me explain here the examples of irony that the author has used in this story. The first example of irony you can say is having fun with Wanda. The teasing and social exclusion that Peggy and Maddie inflict on Wanda is described as fun, which is very ironic because the fun is indeed cruelty and unjust over here. Wanda's absence. This is an example of dramatic irony as the readers learn that Wanda is not at her desk, at her place in the classroom. 100 drawings. Now, this is an example of situational irony because the fact that Wanda has all the 100 dresses is very ironic because the dresses were not real but imagined one. Now, last example, Wanda drew Maddie and Peggy. This is also an example of situational irony. Maddie is surprised to learn that Wanda has drawn portraits of her and Peggy in her drawings. Maddie assumed that Wanda would have been hurt by taunting and teasing, but the drawings are proof that Wanda secretly admired them. Considering at the level of the aptness of the title, we can certainly say that the title 100 Dresses is perfectly a befitting one as it refers to the 100 dresses that Wanda had created sketches of elegant 100 dresses, due to which she won the drawing contest. If she had the fabric, she would surely have made 100 real dresses. That is why she called them dresses, not designs. On the result day, Wanda truly had 100 dresses and all lined up, but in the classroom. They were the same 100 dresses she used to talk about, as they all existed in her imagination. All of them were immensely beautiful, and every query about Wanda having 100 dresses was cleared on that day. Thus, in a way, the 100 dresses were not just that, but also points that many ways in which Wanda proved to be superior to her tormentors and left everyone spellbound at her talent. Hope you all must have got the in-depth explanation of this chapter. So here are a few important questions from the chapter for your comprehension check. Taking help from the explanation which I have just given to you, try to solve these questions and deepen your understanding. Keep watching to get the detailed analysis of other chapters too. Thank you.